Marco Palestra is guaranteed to succeed at Chelsea. It's literally impossible for him to flop. That's simply because he's an athletic freak, and you can see that from the graph above me. On the x-axis, we have Gradient's athleticism score. Palestra is one of the best fullbacks in Europe's top 5 leagues this season for this metric. His max speed is also ridiculously high. I think he was the 3rd fastest fullback in the Serie A last season, which is obviously brilliant. And this physicality just gives his performances such a high floor, because even if Palestra is having a bad game technically, his crosses and passes are inaccurate, his defending and positioning is looking sloppy, he will still provide value to the team because of his athleticism. The runs he makes in behind will always be of a very high quality and cause the opposition defense problems, and his work rate up and down will always be very valuable too, especially in defensive situations where his recovery pace will be very valuable. And it's not like Palestra is just a physical player, he's also got great technical ability, and you can see that from the graph above me. In my opinion, the two main attributes you want in a Xabi Alonso system as a wingback is the ability to cross the ball and the ability to dribble, to be able to take your man on in those wide isolation moments. And I think Palestra can do both those things to a very high level. As you can see, he's one of the best players on this graph for a balance of crossing grade and dribbling grade, which especially at such a young age is really impressive because you'd expect him to develop further. With that said, I am slightly concerned his dribbling might not translate that well to Chelsea in the Premier League, because a lot of it does rely on his pace. When you go and look at the actions that he's actually completing and getting credited for, a lot of them are things like this, where the defender steps up high, there's space in behind, and Palestra will take a clever touch to turn the defender and attack the space in behind, relying on his pace to kind of do them. But in the Premier League for Chelsea, when you're frequently playing against low blocks and that space isn't there, will his dribbling be as effective? I'm not so sure. Defensively, he's also just not the best at the moment, and you can see that from Gradient's defensive grading profile above me. In terms of defending dribbles and defending 1v1s, I think he's okay because he can rely on his pace in these situations to run back. He has great recovery pace, which is obviously very useful. However, in terms of duels and actual intelligence of defending, he's very, very poor. You can see that here. Especially his positioning grade, I think is a concern because it shows his defensive intelligence is very poor. Got an example of this from the Serie A last season. In this situation, Lecce are attacking down this right side, their winger is going to beat a man and put a cross into the box, and Palestra is defending the back post. He is in a tricky situation here because he is overloaded, but I still just think he deals with it poorly. Because what I think he should do here is wait for the ball to come in, and then he can track the man that is most likely to win it by judging the flight of the ball, but he doesn't do that. He goes far too early, and he goes with the wrong man. He chooses to track this runner instead of this guy who ends up heading the ball in the end, and then he just kind of gets caught in between two men as he tries to change direction and get back to the right man, recover, which he can't do, and ultimately this guy gets a really good opportunity, which I think he does miss in the end. Palestra gets quite lucky.